Hello, hello. We are here for day 2 on the Energize and Align Challenge, and today we are diving into clearing energy blocks. So if you're here, go ahead and let me know that you're here in the comments below. I know there are a couple of you that can't make it today and some of you that are going to join in for the first time. So just go ahead and let me know when you're here. I'd love to know who's here. Let me know where you're from. Let me see, we got 2 people, 3 people. And also let me know in the comments whether or not you were able to download your ebook. So yesterday we talked about creating sacred energy. Hi Jill, hi Trini, hi Angie. So yesterday we talked about, hi Amy, oh, good to see you. So yesterday we talked about creating our own sacred energy flow, really understanding on the value and the importance of living in alignment with our natural energy flow. And we talked about getting clear on our beliefs around energy, getting clear on our beliefs around time. We did an energy assessment. So just kind of understanding where we are in our life right now. And oh, good, you got your ebook. And we also, I went through the giveaway challenge I shared with you guys yesterday. I posted in Facebook as well. There are 3 things to do to participate. One is to comment and tag on an Instagram post and invite a friend to join you in the challenge. The second is to listen to the 2 podcast episodes, recent episodes around energy, which were the 7 levels of attunement, which are in alignment with the 7 chakras, and also the energy of self-worth. So if you haven't listened to those, I invite you to do it. The solo episodes that I do are quite a lot shorter than when I do interviews. They're less than 30 minutes. And then also to leave a review. So that would be the second step. So first step, to tag a person in Instagram. Second step, to listen to the podcast, leave a review, sign your name, please, because whoever you sign in as, your Apple ID is who it shows up as, and sometimes I just don't recognize the name. And then third is to join the challenge, which you're here doing today. So thank you for being here. Amy, I don't know if you... if I saw your email, if you got the ebook or not, because I don't remember seeing your name in the original email. So just let me know. I'm happy to send it to you. Megan, you're here. You made it. Awesome. You're at archery with Gio. I love that you guys are still doing archery. Hi, Ashley. It's good to see you. And Jen, I keep calling you Jen. And Shannon. Hi, Shannon. Thanks for joining. So I am going to, this is how I master my energy. We are going live on Instagram as well at the same time. So we're just gonna give that a second to dive in. Okay, so you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Today is day 2 of the Energize and Align Challenge. We are talking about the 5 steps, which happen to be in alignment with the 5 elements that are related to the 7 chakras, that are related to really just improving our overall health and well-being, overcoming the overwhelm, overcoming the exhaustion, the low self-worth, the self-confidence, all the stuff that gets in the way of us living in our natural state of flow, our alignment, which is really what we're born to do. So we're spending this week going through the different chakras, the different stages of energy alignment. Yesterday we talked about creating sacred energy. Today we're talking about clearing energy blocks. So I love this day, because really we set up creating the sacred container yesterday, but before we can move forward, we got to clear some energy. And energy blocks usually show up as old belief patterns, self-limiting beliefs, fears, and usually stem from some type of belief that we created based on some type of childhood experience, where we created a belief to either keep us safe, make us feel lovable, make us feel worthy, make us feel like we are hopeful in some way. So we're going to explore that today, and also going to have the opportunity to do some live coaching for those of you. I know Michelle, I don't know if you're here, Michelle. Michelle mentioned that she would be interested in doing that. So if she doesn't come on and there's somebody else, we'll do that. So we're going to start by presencing. So if you're not driving, I invite you to close your eyes and just to come into your own space. We're just going to take a few minutes to just connect with our breath. So go ahead and just place your hands on your belly. We're going to allow ourselves to really come into our own space without the thoughts, the emotions, the beliefs, and all of the things that show up. So put your hands on your belly and just take a really deep breath in. Allow the breath to come up to the top of your chest, and then open the mouth to exhale, release slowly. So 2 more breaths just like that. As long as you're not driving, take 1 more deep breath with your eyes closed. And just allow yourself to settle into the space. So wherever you are, maybe some of you are at work, maybe you're at home, maybe you're at archery. That's a new one. But wherever you are, just allowing yourself to become fully present. Noticing the environment that you're in, the temperature. Notice the sounds. And then bring your awareness to your inner environment. So just coming into the space of your inner environment, your internal home. And just noticing what's present for you in this moment. Notice the thoughts, the emotions, sensations in your physical body. Maybe feel tightness. Maybe feel open. Notice the quality of your thoughts. Maybe this is the first time you've done this. Maybe you're like, what is she doing? What are we doing? I'm ready to just talk about energy. But this is an invitation for you to just become really clear and present with the truth of what's present for you right now. So notice your body sensations. So maybe you work your way from your head down to your feet, or from your feet up to your head. And just giving yourself a full body scan. Maybe you welcome a little movement. Maybe you stretch the head and the neck. Do you notice any areas that feel tight? Any areas that feel resistance? Or do you notice openness? So what do you notice? And so if you have your ebook in front of you or a journal, I just want you to, as you come back into the awareness of the space, deepen your breath, bring movement to the fingers and toes. We're just going to write down for a moment what came up for us. I'm just going to invite you to grab a piece of paper or a journal and just write down what came up for you. What did you notice in that full body scan? And if you'd like, maybe reply in the comments. What did you notice? Did you notice any areas of tightness? Any areas that felt tired? I see your comment, Jill, about the review. I appreciate that. Okay, so anybody in the comments want to share what was present with them in their physical body and their thoughts? So how about this? I'm going to invite you to share with me 2 words in this moment, a 2-word check-in with how you're feeling, what you're feeling in this moment. So go ahead and share 2 words. I'll go ahead and share mine. I'm actually thirsty and happy. So go ahead and share a little tightness in your neck, feeling pretty good. I love that. Holding on to something at the base of my neck. Okay, so I hear a lot of neck tightness in the shoulder and neck. So we're having a lot of, this is kind of universally for everybody here, tightness in the shoulder and the neck. Okay, awesome. So what about hopeful? So what about a word that could describe? So Jen says hopeful. Angie says third eye felt pressure. Jill says angst in the stomach. Trini says cold and calm. And Shannon says the right hip is tight and I'm thinking of my to-do list for the day. I love that, Shannon. I love your transparency. So Shannon, I'm going to invite you to just give me the next, we're going to keep with the time today. Give me the next 20 minutes of your time and we can do the to-do list after. How does that sound, Shannon? Peaceful and ready, says Angie. Amy is hungry and relaxed. And Jennifer Goldman is focusing. Awesome. Okay, so we have like a whole mix of just wherever we are. So I just invite you to just have compassion and just acknowledge where you are. So there's no right or wrong way to show up. We just are where we are, and we're just going to be present with where we are. So as we're working on clearing energy blocks today, we're going to dive into a little bit about how the body speaks to us in certain ways. So how many of you on here are familiar with the chakra system? If you are, give me a yes. And I love it. Thanks. Okay, good, Shannon. Thank you. So if you're familiar with the chakra system, go ahead and give me a yes. If it's new to you, just go ahead and put a question mark. So energy blocks, the way that I see the world is through energy. So there are 7 spinning discs of energy along the spine, and there are actually 13, the 6 that extend beyond the crown chakra. So in our body, we have the root chakra, which is in our hips. So if you can see the hip, then we have the sacral chakra. So the root is red, the sacral is orange. So the root is where our primary safety is. It's our survival shows up there, our longing to be here. Our sacral chakra is orange. It is a place of creativity. It is a place of abundance. Our third chakra is our solar plexus, our place of all our vital organs, the liver, the kidneys, the gallbladder, the stomach. It's also our place energetically of strong will. And then our heart chakra is green. It's the 4th. It is where we have love, we receive. And then we have our throat chakra, which is more of a turquoise. This is self-expression and also speaking our truth. This is also the area of the thyroid. So, just think about that energetically. Those of you that struggle with thyroid issues, how clear is your energy on speaking your truth and expressing yourself? And then we have the third eye, which is the indigo color. This is where our place of intuition, our connection to our truth. And then we have the crown chakra, which is our connection to source. And so that's like a purple magenta color. And then we get up into the golds and the whites. And so you don't have to know chakras to know this. I say that because the energy blocks that show up in one of those areas in our body. And so the throat can often be associated with the heart, or the shoulders are usually tied into the throat and the heart. So those of us experiencing tightness in the shoulders might have an energy blockage either in the throat. This can be seeking support, so asking for help. It can also be in the heart. So maybe receiving, letting love in, intimacy, connection, joy. Those are also some emotions associated with the heart. So as I share that with you, please just share what comes up for you if you're not familiar with those. So I also got the third eye. So Angie is in the place of learning to trust also that intuition. So usually what happens is there's also some yoga poses that we can do. But if we're feeling tightness in this area, we might be too much in our mind and in our thoughts and not in a place of just trusting and receiving the energy that's coming into the third eye. So that's how that can show up. Let's see who else is sharing. Awesome. Okay, any other shares around that? So some of you are familiar with the chakras and some of you, it is a little new. Okay, awesome. So today we're going to talk about clearing energy blocks. So if you have your ebook, go ahead and grab it. There is 2 pages we're going to look at today. One is the clear energy blocks page, and the other one is getting clarity on what our energy block is. So the first question I have for you, so if you don't have your ebook, you can just answer this, is what is one belief? What is one belief or fear or roadblock standing in the way of you achieving your goals. So yesterday we talked about our goals. So just take a moment to just kind of remember, what were my goals yesterday that I said I was going to do, and kind of check in with what was present with you in that moment when you set your goals. Hi, Blaze. Good to see you here. So what is a belief, a fear, or a roadblock that might be standing in the way of you achieving your goals from where you are now? Remember, we did that energy assessment scale yesterday of where we are, where we want to go, and how willing are we in this moment to get to where we want to go. So somewhere in that willingness, because desire plus belief equals action and results. So you may have heard this before. So this is really where the beliefs come in. So we got clear on the desire yesterday. Today we're getting clear on the beliefs. So what is one belief, fear, or roadblock that you believe or you feel is standing in the way of you achieving your goals? And go ahead and answer in the comments. Oh, hey, Michelle, good. I'm glad you made it. You wrote in your journals to receive more. Awesome. I love that. I've been seeing that a lot, Ashley, the receiving. It's been coming up for a lot of women lately. It's just trusting that we're worthy of receiving, afraid to let go, too overwhelming. Okay, those are great. Okay, so Amy, I'm going to invite you to go a little bit deeper in the afraid to let go. What are you afraid to let go of? What might happen, Amy, if you do let go? And Ashley, what would happen if you allowed yourself to receive more? And then Jen, what would happen if your world became so overwhelmed that you couldn't handle it anymore? What does that look like for you? So just getting really clear on the story. Not enough motivation makes you think that you don't want it bad enough. Okay, Michelle, so what happens if you're not motivated? What does that look like for you? Does that mean you don't achieve your goals? Does it mean that you're not good enough? What kind of story comes up around that? And then Trini says, I want to be perfect the first time around, so I wait until I have the perfect plan. So I'm hearing a lot of perfection, and then you wait too long, and it's just the thing that I've been wanting but haven't. Wanting to do but haven't. Okay, Trini, I can totally relate to that. I'm a recovering perfectionist myself. So there's a deeper underlying sort of need underneath that. So what happens if it's not perfect, Trini? So I really want you to get super clear on, there's this need and this desire to be perfect. Well, what happens if it's not perfect? What is the belief that comes up around that? Fear of being able to attract abundance without a man. Okay. So that's really getting into the sacral chakra, Jill. I hear that. And that kind of came up yesterday too. So there might be a belief underneath that related to security. So kind of ask the question underneath, well, what happens if you don't have a man, if you don't have a partner? What does that look like for you? What's going to happen if you don't? And then Jen says, feeling that things that I don't do well are defining me instead of the things that I do well. That's a huge one. Remembering that we are valuable because of who we are, not what we do. Blaze says, amen, sister. Thank you, Blaze. Thanks for joining. It's so true. So many women in our generation, most of you on here, I was just talking about this with a client this morning, like, oh my gosh, I could share a story on how this just related to my younger daughter. I just shared a post on Instagram. I just recently heard the words that men were paid more in a sport because they perform better. And let me tell you, that brought up so much for me as someone who used to be an engineer in the military, constantly proving myself. But what was interesting that came full circle, I'm going to share with you, Jen, is there was a part of me that knew I was worthy, but the outside world didn't see me as worthy in the environment that I was in. And that was a huge aha for me. So I'm seeing some worthiness, some safety. Okay, so super great, you guys. We're going to get into the 4 most common self-limiting beliefs as soon as we go through these questions. Okay, so the next question is, how has this belief held you back in your life? So each of you that answered your fear, which by the way, thank you for the courage to share your fear. It takes a lot of courage and vulnerability to just type it out there, and energetically, it's putting it into motion. It is saying and calling out that you are ready to shift to this, just the simple expression of it. So I really want to acknowledge you for that. So how has this belief held you back in your life? The belief around needing a partner to be abundant, the belief around not being good enough, the belief that things have to be perfect. So Trini says when she works on progress versus perfection, and then you feel you're not as efficient with the limited time and energy that I really want to be efficient. I totally hear that, Trini. So what's so interesting, as you say that, it reminds me of a quote that I had on one of my podcasts that I loved, my podcast with Dr. Keith Holden and the Power of the Mind and Health and Healing. And the thing that he said that was so profound was, sometimes the healing is in the acceptance of where you are. So there's this whole invitation to just accept where we are is good enough, and that we are exactly where we need to be. So how has this belief held you back? You fight with, Jill says she fights with herself to move forward without someone and then not to go back. Okay. That's really great, Jill. Thank you for sharing. And Michelle says, it stopped me from being as healthy as I know I can be. Okay. So Michelle, I just invite you to maybe go a little deeper and get super specific. You guys, what I really want you to tap into is that these beliefs that we have about ourselves, which by the way are just beliefs, they're not really true. It's our perception of our reality that we create. These there is a true part to it, but it is the perception that we have about it, the story, because 2 people can have the same experience and have the same situation, have very different perceptions of the experience, right? So getting super clear on, okay, well, if it's holding your health back, well, how has that shown up? So get super clear, because we're getting clear about our time and as a resource and investment as a resource versus what we're missing out on. So when we talk about desire and belief, the level of commitment that we are or not willing to take to change something, what is it costing us? What is the belief that is keeping us from moving forward really costing us? Is it costing you a relationship? Is it costing you calling in a new partner to start a life with? Is it costing you your health? Is it costing you relationships in your family because you don't feel your best and then you take it out on your kids? That was me. That's why I started out health coaching. Is it costing you your dream job? Is it costing you from receiving what you're worthy of? Abundance. It can show up as money, health, connection, friendships. What is it costing you? And the next question is, what would happen if this limiting belief were true? So some of you already asked this. I kind of already asked you to think about, so Trini, what if it's not perfect? So Trini, what if it's not perfect? Michelle, what if the belief that it is stopping you from being as healthy as you can be? What would that look like? What if it were true? What if you were totally unhealthy? What's that going to look like? And then for Jill, what is it going to look like if you're doing this alone? What if you started a new company? What if you believe you have to have somebody to support you to do that? And then what if the belief were not true? Jill, what if you could do this all on your own? Not having somebody else to, this is your creation, this is your baby. What if you do it on your own? And then Jen, what if you're able to overcome those ideas of overwhelm because you think you have to show up in a certain way? This feeling of, I'm not good enough, so then I'm overwhelmed. It's that constant cycle where if we really believe that we have to do things to be better, then we're going to feel overwhelmed. What's going to happen if that's true? Or are we going to keep doing and doing and doing and proving ourselves in all these different areas of our life until we're completely exhausted and overwhelmed? If that were true, or what would happen if it weren't true? What would happen if we didn't have to do anything? And we were still just amazing by who we are, not what we do. What would that look like? That sounds amazing. We could just relax into the truth of who we are. I don't have to do anything. I could just wake up every morning, ask myself what I need, show up as the best version of myself, and that's enough. That sounds like freedom. And then I want to invite you to get really clear about your dreams that we created yesterday, and all that you want and all that you're worthy of. I would just want to ask the question, and I'm just going to invite you to check in. Is there anything that you're trying to avoid in your dreams coming true? So sometimes this can look like, am I worthy of, that dream guy? Am I worthy of financial abundance? So there's an energy to self-worth. If you haven't listened to the podcast, The Energy of Self-Worth, I invite you to do it. It's very powerful. And it's really where our truth is. It's kind of like bridging the gap between where we are and where we want to go. The energy of self-worth because it's very close to the vibration of unconditional love, whereas like fear is way down here. Fear is a block. That's what we're talking about today. Unconditional love and self-worth are up here. So on a vibrational scale, that energy of self-worth is so possible. It is what takes us from where we are. It is the action step, the desire and the belief together that gets us from where we are to where we want to go. And then in this moment, I want to see in the comments, what's the new belief you would like to embody? So what do you want to call into your life? What are you choosing right now? We don't have to do anything. You're exactly right, Michelle. You are worthy because of who you are, not what you do. And so I just want to say to the ladies on here, in our generation, if you were born in the 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe even a little bit later, we were born into a time where we were still trying to prove that we were worthy of being equally paid. That was my experience. Shannon, I know you can relate to this. As an engineer, I got paid less than my male coworkers, and I performed better and I worked harder. That was 20 years ago, in the 1990s. Trini, you can probably relate to that. So that is a thing that we're still working through. 100% costing me the abundance I am worthy of receiving. So Angie's been doing some of this work, so she knows the receiving. So what is the new belief that you want? I want to see in the comments, what is the new belief that you want? And then when you're finished with that, I'm going to ask you to shift to the other side. And there's 4 basic energy or self-limiting beliefs that show up as energy blocks in the body. And so some of this you're going to take to work on tonight. So 2 of them I've kind of combined. It shows up as I'm not good enough, or I'm not lovable, or I'm only good when I get that raise at work. I'm only good when I marry that guy. I'm only good when my kids are well behaved and get straight A's. I'm only good when I look a certain way. So tell me if you relate to that. I'm only good when I have a job, like a high paying job. These are all conditions our culture these are all beliefs that our culture conditioned us to believe. Or I'm only lovable when. I'm only lovable when when I help others, when I take care of people. If you're an Enneagram 2, if you're a helper, if you know the Enneagrams. So I'm only good when I do a good job. I'm only lovable when I perform well. So one of these, now there are many, many beliefs. There's self-limiting beliefs that can show up as, I'm not smart enough, I'm not capable. But the top 4 that I usually see are I'm only good when, or I'm only lovable when, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not lovable unless I do this thing. And then the next one is the need for safety or to be in control. And it's really questioning, like, how do you show up in the world? Like, who do you trust? Like, what is your relationship with, your relationship with other people? How do you show up in relationships? Do you trust people? Do you think people are generally selfish? Do you think that they're here to support you? Do you have a need to feel safe? And all of this comes down to that root chakra. And we can dive deeper into this, but some of this comes up for example, I have a child or two children. One has a need to be good enough, and the other one is a need to feel safe. Well, the one with the need to feel safe was born under those life-threatening conditions that you've heard me talk about when she came into the world. So it is what she's here to work on. And then the last one is, do you believe that you're hopeless or hopeful? I saw the word hopeful when we showed up. Or do you believe that you're a victim of your circumstances? So it's really that understanding that belief of I'm hopeless, so that can show up like, well, I'm going to get diabetes because every person in my family had diabetes, or I'm going to get cancer because everybody had cancer. There's nothing I can do, or I'm just overweight because my mom's overweight, or can show up in a relationship, or I'm going to be single because my mom was single, or it can show up in any way, or you can't trust men. So answer those questions, and as you answer them, we have a few more minutes here. I'm going to read through the comments, and I'm wondering if you know what your underlying need is. So, okay, we have some great choices. Amy says, I'm lovable if I'm helping or performing well. Angie says, I'm worthy of trusting and receiving and all of that, all of my truth. Michelle says, hopeful. Michelle, tell me a little bit more about that. Trini says, you're an Enneagram 2 or a 9. I get different results. Yeah, so Trini, sometimes the 2 can be the behavior. So it's really more, the Enneagram is really more about like, what are you trying to avoid? And what is it your deepest desire? That's how you kind of figure out which one is right for you. So Amy or Michelle, tell me a little bit more about you're only good when you're healthy. Okay. So Michelle requested, I was mixing you up with Amy. So Michelle requested to possibly explore her energy block a little further. So before we do that, you guys can stay on to listen. However, I'm going to do this, but before we go for today, first of all, I want to thank you for sharing all of this. And I'm going to invite you to do some journaling tonight. So there's always going to be a home study with this. This is your opportunity to dive in to do the work a little bit deeper. And so what this is going to look like is based on the questions that you filled out on both sides of the paper, the beliefs that you have, the belief that you want, and then also exploring deeper on what that self-limiting belief is that's holding you back. I'm going to invite you to take 10 minutes tonight to journal about where this belief is showing up in your life. Because oftentimes what happens, and the reason that I went from health coaching to life coaching is because what I noticed is that whatever our belief is about how we show up in our life, it shows up in our relationship to the way that we nourish ourselves, the way that we choose to be healthy. It shows up in whether or not we believe we can apply for a certain job or start our own business. It shows up in the way that we parent our children. If we are holding ourselves accountable for every wrong thing that we do, every wrong thing that they do, then there's a part of us that doesn't think that we're good enough. It shows up in our relationship with our partner, our husband, wife, whatever that is. So the invitation is for you to journal about this tonight in the different areas that this belief is holding you back, and get super clear on how this is showing up in your life. So in other words, what are you missing out on that could be available to you if you choose to not believe this anymore? So that's what we're going to do tonight. And I'd love to hear you guys share in the Facebook group, please, so that I can respond to it throughout the night tonight. And then tomorrow, we're going to get into the balance of giving and receiving through intuitive body wisdom, and how the body is a tool. It's kind of like our sacred vessel that communicates to us energetically on. That's why we started with that the visualization of the body, because the body speaks to us. It speaks to us about what foods are good for us, which relationships are draining our energy, and which ones are giving us energy. It speaks to us. There's this intuition that speaks to us about whether or not, you know, we say yes to this opportunity or no to this opportunity. We buy this house or we don't buy this house. We go on a date with this guy or we don't go on a date. You know, there's so many, whether we take that medication or take this supplement. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So Michelle, we have a few more minutes. Okay, Angie says, be safe. Jen says, I'm only good if my house is organized and running efficiently. Well, so Jen, what I would say is there's an invitation to pick a room to declutter in the house. Like this week we're committed, and maybe just start with one small place to start organizing. Okay, so Michelle wanted some help clearing some energy blocks. So Michelle, are you still here? If you're here, Michelle, give me the belief that you believe is holding you back in this moment. The one belief, because you've mentioned a couple things. Is it you're only good when you're healthy? I don't know if she's still here. Oh, only good. Okay. So Michelle, I'm going to invite you to kind of just close your eyes for a moment, just check in with your body and notice physically in your body, where does that show up? Where do you notice it physically in your body, Michelle? The belief. I'm wondering if, yeah, I'm only good when I'm healthy. So where do you feel it in your body? So I'm wondering if you're feeling it in your solar plexus or your heart, in that area. Your lower back and your shoulders. Okay. Okay, so lower back is an interesting place. So what happens a lot of the times with the lower back and the shoulders, so I want to know if you relate to this, is that feeling of like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. This is something I hear. So I'm curious if you're a person who believes that you have to take care of a lot of things on your own. Because the lower back and the shoulders can really be affected by sort of that feeling of like wanting and needing to have that energy because you're taking care of a lot of things in a lot of different areas in your life. Does that resonate? I see a not really and a yes. So which one is it? So if you think about the lower back, on the other side of the lower back is the stomach. It's the same chakra, the same energy point. And if you think about the heart on the other, or the shoulders, on the other side of the shoulders is the heart. Okay. Okay. Awesome. So what I'm noticing is sort of the lower back and the shoulders, kind of that feeling of kind of maybe overwhelmed and tired because you're taking care of a lot, you're handling a lot. And that belief of you're only good enough if you're healthy, sort of that need to have enough energy to take care of things, which related to the heart and the stomach chakra. So the stomach is really about willpower. So there might be a sense of like, I'm getting it done. Like there might be this grit of like I'm figuring out how to just do this. I just have to take care of this. So I'm just curious, what is the conversation in the head that shows up? What is the thought that comes up when you feel that tightness in your lower back and your shoulder, when something happens in your life and you get that feeling, that lower back, that shoulder feeling of like, I got to take care of everything. What is the thought that comes up? Yes, that's true. Okay. So I'm curious, Michelle, what is underneath that belief? What's underneath the belief that you have to take care of everything? if I'm getting that right, where the lower back and the shoulders feel overwhelmed. The thought is, relax, you got this, and you will do it, okay? So I hear that there's some positive self-talk that comes in to sort of, counteract the feeling in the body. So I want to take a step back and figure out where this belief is coming from. So the belief that where's the belief that you have to do it, that only you can do it, is coming from? What would it look like for you to ask for help, for support? What would that look like for you, Michelle? Michelle says the thought is, relax, you got this, you can do it, but she doesn't know where the belief comes from. So then we want to go underneath that a little bit further. If we don't know where it came from, that's okay. That takes a little bit more time too. It's usually something in our childhood where maybe there was a moment in time where you decided that you had to, if you wanted something done, you had to do it. Okay, so if you guys are still here, you can see like there's this process that we go through where we keep asking the question. And so as I was reading Michelle, I was getting the sense that the energy blocks were in the stomach and the heart. She said that it was her lower back and her shoulders, which are just exactly on the other side of the stomach and the heart. And then oftentimes what shows up with this is the belief that we have to take care of everything. So there was the belief that showed up, I have to be healthy to be good enough, which really means you got to have the energy to do all the things that you're doing, which underneath that might be the belief that you're the only one that can maybe get everything done. We don't always know where it came from. Let's see, you have come a long way with asking for help. Okay, some things I can only do myself, like school, etc. Well, that's true. There are some things that only we can do. But you do ask for help for things. Okay, so what I hear is that you're aware of this and that you have started to make choices to ask for help. So I love that you shared that. So, okay, so Michelle, just to wrap this up, because I do have another call to get into. So what is something that you could do? So I'm going to invite you to do the journaling exercise. What is something that you could request support in your life right now that is going to be really uncomfortable? So this is just an invitation. You don't have to do it, Michelle. But what I know to be true is that when we are willing to lean into the uncomfortable thing, that is when we really open up the gateway to our potential. So what is something that would be really uncomfortable for you to ask for support in? And you don't have to say it now. If you want to share it on the Facebook, you can. For those of you that stayed on and listened through that, I really appreciate it. If you're navigating through this tonight and you'd like some support as you're working through it, please just type it in the Facebook page. I will respond to all the requests. And when you do, please tag my name in it so that I can respond to your specific request. I would have to give that some thought. Okay, well, you do that, Michelle. This is all an invitation. You don't have to do anything. So you don't have to do anything. But if you choose to shift the belief, the invitation would be to allow yourself to give yourself the opportunity to ask for support in something that would be really uncomfortable. That's my invitation to you, but you don't have to do it. All right, guys, thank you for joining me today. We'll be back again tomorrow on Wednesday, day 3, intuitive balance of giving and receiving, tapping into that body wisdom, and allowing our body to be our teacher to guide us to making decisions with our body intuition. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.